Listen, family, I'm gonna drop some serious science right now. But before I drop some science, I just wanna warm up the place. Can I play some love songs? Can I play a couple love tunes before I start, yeah? Put up your ones if you wanna hear some love songs. All right, first love song. First love song. Unity tonight. Love tonight. We are there. Sing for me. One. Let's get together and feel alright. More tune.
Love and hate can never be free.
And my eyes, listen. Don't run with my eyes. How you mean? How you mean? Listen. Listen. Listen, listen, listen. All the days of more tune. What? Don't run with my eyes. How you mean? How you mean? What? Black love tonight. How you mean? Let me get myself together. Let me get myself together. What we saying? Hey, I've got to get myself together. More tune. Don't run with my eyes. How you mean? Revolution tonight. Black love revolution. So what we say? So what you say? Do you know it needs to have a more tune? Hey, listen. You see later when we do the after party. Later when we do the after party, I want to hear the ladies sing. Ladies, what you say? Ladies. I'm still in love. With who? With you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hold on. This is just the warm up. This is just the warm up to the after party. You see the after party? Pierre Tunes. I like Ace and Jax. Ace and Jax are gonna shell down the after party. This is just the warm up. So, just to warm up, a couple more love songs. I swear, if I don't get a big forward on the next one, I'm walking out. Let me see if you know that tune. Let me see if you know that tune.
That tune, nobody know that tune.
What she said? What? A girl. What you say? What? More tune. We are saying, my eyes, hey. And that we should be together, but you just drive me crazy. Now that we are together, I can't wait till the morning comes. More tune.
Oh, what a night. What a night, what a night.
How you feel? How you feel?
What a night.
How you feel?
When you're wrapped up in my arms, dancing to a reggae song. Feel
Listen.
Let me give you some love and
Madness, but my name is Leon Marshall, I go by the scientist, yeah? And for those of you who have been to a Hidden Science Academy event before, you know I break down science in a very simplified way. So the people who have been to a Hidden Science Academy event before, they know that. I'm going to break down science in a very simplified way and share some mind-blowing information. But I'm curious, who, by a show of hands, who's never been to a Hidden Science Academy event before? Raise your hands. Oh gosh. For those of you who have your ones in the air right now, I've got one thing to say to you.
You're gonna learn today. You're gonna learn today.
So what are you gonna learn today? Today you're gonna learn about a secret system. A secret love system that is in every single one of your bodies, and you're gonna realize how important this system is. I'm gonna go through the benefits of the system. I'm gonna go through how to activate the system and what deactivates it, plus much more, no typo. All right, so let's go into it. Many people find science very confusing. Even I did when I was at school. And the reason why I believe that I found it very confusing was because of the way they taught science. They taught science in a very confusing way. And as I grew older, I started to realize why they were teaching science in a very confusing way. Yeah? And through my observations over the years, I've found that confusion leads to conflict that can be internal or external, and then that conflict leads to pain. So what we want when we're learning science is we want total clarity, because I've found through my own observations that clarity leads to harmony within and without, and that harmony leads to peace, or pleasure, or balance, or ma'at, whatever you want to replace this with. This is what this process leads to. So this is what we want. We want ma'at, we want balance, we want blissfulness, yeah? So we need to avoid the confusion. But the reason why they keep science very confusing is because if we truly knew the truth about science, the realness about science, it would go back to what I call the elephant in the room. And the elephant in the room is this. When it comes on to learning science, for those of you who have my debut book, The Hidden Science of Melanin, which is available today over on that stall over there, my book reveals the truth with regards to what they've been hiding from us with regards to science. Literally every aspect of science goes back to this. And I'll prove it today, yeah? They love to tiptoe around melanin, or what I call tap dance around melanin. So when they're tap dancing around melanin, that's when they're not telling you the truth about melanin. And because we don't really study this thing, they can tell us anything and we'll run with it. Like they tell us that your melanin blocks sunlight, and that's the reason why you got low vitamin D. That is absolute foolishness. Absolute foolishness. Your melanin absorbs sunlight and the sun charges up your melanin. So why would the Most High give you this amazing thing to block you from that amazing thing? It don't make sense. But again, when we don't study this thing, people can chat absolute foolishness to us and we just have to run with it. They tell you that black people are more likely to suffer from type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, all of these things, but they can't tell you why. They love to tiptoe around melanin, yeah? So it all goes back to this. And even some of your biological systems in your body. Do you know there's a secret system in your body that you've never heard of, and it's arguably the most powerful system of all of them? A secret system that when it's activated, it can literally balance you, keep you in a state of ma'at, peace, pleasure, yeah? This system is so powerful that when it's activated, when this system is activated, it has the power to relieve all of these conditions. How powerful is that? It can relieve anxiety, depression, lower blood pressure, stabilize blood sugar levels, improve sleep, improves asthma conditions. It's amazing for any type of joint pain, including arthritis. And then it's absolutely amazing for seizures and epilepsy and all that sort of stuff. Yeah? And on a knock-on effect, it has a positive effect on your mental health and your mood. This is a system that you've never heard of, and it's arguably the most powerful systems out of all the systems in your body. Now, what's interesting is, I'm sure you've heard of the other systems in your body. Cardiovascular system, yes. You've got your skeletal system, yes. Your digestive system, your nervous system, and then your respiratory system. We've all heard of those systems, but the system that I'm about to reveal to you governs them all. In other words, it controls all of these other systems, bringing you into a state of balance, or what they call homeostasis. And that system, family, is called the endocannabinoid system.
The endocannabinoid system is found throughout the brains and nervous systems within all mammalian species and is the most extensive biological system of receptors in the body. Humans are born with an endocannabinoid system that serves an important function in both the development of the brain and the formation and development of synapses, the electrical connections in the brain that allow neurotransmitters to send information. Endocannabinoids and the receptors they bind to exist throughout the body. In the nervous system, glands, immune cells, organs, brain, and connective tissues.
Now, let me show you how they tiptoe around melanin. So they just told you that there's this powerful system and it releases these cannabinoids, which are chemicals that the body releases. And then they're received by what they call receptors in the brain, yeah? And the receptors, the lady just said, express themselves in all of these areas: connective tissue, brain, organs, nervous system, glands, immune cells. Let me show you how they tiptoe around melanin. So, connective tissue, one of the most important connective tissues in your body is your skin. So when they say connective tissues, they're talking about your skin, yeah? So that's one way they tiptoe around melanin. Brain, in your brain, do you know that you've got 12 neuromelanin centers? 12 neuromelanin, in other words, if I was to see it inside of your brain, it would look like this. Your neurons are just black, yeah? This is your brain. It's called neuromelanin. A different type of melanin that's found in the brain, yeah? And it literally controls your motor activity, which means movement, yeah? And this is where the endocannabinoid system expresses itself, in your neuromelanin. And again, we have 12 of them, these 12 neuromelanin centers in our brain. And again, I break that down in my book. So when it comes on to them talking about the brain, it has to be the neuromelanin, because that's what controls everything, yeah? And if I was to show you a live animation of your brain, it would look like this. So these black neurons just sending electrical impulses. This is how your brain works. So when they say the brain, they're talking about neuromelanin. Organs, in your organs and your glands, you have what they call melanocytes in those organs and glands. Melanocytes are specialized cells that produce melanin. And in your organs, you have trillions of them. In your glands release melanin hormones like melatonin and another melanin hormone called MSH. So when they talk about it's in your glands and in your organs, that is through melanin as well. And then nervous system, I just showed you how your nervous system looks. It's just black neurons sending and receiving electrical impulses, yeah? And then immune cells. Immunity's become this big thing since the pandemic. Everyone's talking about immune this, immune that. But no one knows what immune cells are. Would you be surprised if I told you that immune cells are melanocytes? Your immune cells are melanocytes. In other words, those specialized cells in your body that produce melanin. And again, don't believe a word I say, just research it. Just ask Google. Type in are melanocytes immune cells into Google. Google will tell you, yes, melanocytes are immune cells that play a role in the skin's immune system. Interesting. And then I found this online as well. This was from Oxford Academic. They say that melanocytes and melanin represent a first line of innate immunity against Candida albicans. In other words, if someone's talking about immunity or immune cells and they're not talking about melanin, they are tiptoeing around the elephant, because your immune cells literally are your melanin cells. That's what your immunity is. So it's interesting, when the pandemic first happened, do you remember when no black people were getting caught with the virus, yeah? And it got to the point where black people started going online saying, I think we're immune to this, you know? And I think it's got something to do with our melanin. Well, guess what? There might be some truth into that. Do you understand? This is the power of keeping your melanin strong and healthy. Yes, you will be immune from all of these things. But if your melanin's weak, then all of a sudden you'll catch whatever they say is out there, yeah? So let's hear what else they got to say about this amazing system called the endocannabinoid system.
The system permeates all 11 central physiological systems in the body, working to handle the many functions necessary for survival. The ECS works to balance our vital physiological functions, affecting everything from sleep, appetite, pain, inflammation, memory, mood, and reproduction.
Look at all of this.
How the
Amazing.
ECS works. The ECS helps to regulate homeostasis across all the physiological systems, ensuring they're all working in harmony with one another. External stress creates an increase in the stress hormone, cortisol, in your bloodstream, which leads to an increase in endocannabinoid production in response. The endocannabinoids increase with stress to balance cortisol production in the blood.
So this system is very powerful at regulating your stress response. Yeah? So anytime the body's releasing cortisol, your endocannabinoids are trying to balance that out. In other words, keep you in a state of homeostasis, keeping you in a state of balance, ma'at, harmony. That's what this endocannabinoid system is all about, keeping you in a state of bliss. Yeah? So when you're stressed out and you're not able to regulate that, that means that your endocannabinoid system is depressed. Yeah? So let's find out more about this very powerful system called the endocannabinoid system. Let's start with the word, because a lot of people, even if you've heard of this, a lot of people get this word wrong. So endocannabinoid. Let's first start with how to pronounce it. So repeat after me. Endo. Canna. Binoid. When you look at binoid, just think anoid, but just replace the A with a B. So that's binoid. So let's start again. Endo. Canna. Binoid. Endo. Canna. Binoid. Endo. Canna. Binoid. All right. Now let me break down some science to you. Anytime you see the prefix endo in front of a word, that means internal, inside. Yeah? And then anytime you see a word in science end with noid or oid, that means resembling or like. So there's something inside of you that is like something. It resembles something. So now all we need to do is just break down the middle part. Canna be. What could that be referring to? Yes. Inside of your system. Listen, this is crazy because inside of every single one of us, we have an endocannabinoid system. In other words, a system internally that produces chemicals that are similar, that resemble the cannabis plant chemicals. How amazing is that? Yeah? And by the way, this is every single one of us, yeah? Not just Rastafari. You understand? This is in all of us. We all have this cannabis-like system. Now, why would the Most High bless you with a system that interacts with this plant? Interesting, yeah? So when it comes onto this, you need to know that the endocannabinoid system regulates the body's system to maintain homeostasis. So it can regulate your temperature, your blood sugar levels, your pH, your hydration and minerals and metabolic waste. And there's two different types of cannabinoids that interact with your endocannabinoid system. You've got what they call phytocannabinoids. What does phyto mean in science? It means plants, yeah? So you can get your cannabinoids from plants or endocannabinoids. What does endo mean? Inside. So your body produces cannabinoids that are just as powerful as the cannabinoids in the cannabis plant. And when it comes onto the cannabinoids, most people are familiar with the strongest two, yeah? THC and CBD. So THC is the cannabinoid in the cannabis plant that gives you that high if you do partake in the weed, yeah? If you do choose to put fire to the plant, yeah? So the THC is what gives you the high. It has what they call psychoactive effects. And then the CBD, that's been getting very popular over the years simply because a lot of people are starting to realize how powerful CBD oil is for your health, for anxiety, depression, relieving pain, that sort of stuff. So CBD oil is getting very, very popular, and the CBD is a cannabinoid that's in the cannabis plant, yeah? So check this out, and this blew me away when I found this out, yeah? This information blew me away. So we've got the cannabinoids that are in the plant, and then your body produces two. Now, they say that your body just produces two. Again, they like to tiptoe around the elephant, they like to hide stuff. So chances are our body produces more than two, but they just mentioned these two. One's called 2-AG and one's called anandamide, or they shorten it to AEA, anandamide. Now check this out, family. The THC, which is the psychoactive effect of the cannabinoid that's in the plant, which gives you that high, you know that your body produces the equivalent to that, and that's anandamide. your brain produces the equivalent to THC. In other words, if you can activate this molecule, you'll get the same effect as smoking the THC or taking the cannabis plant. How powerful is that? Yeah? If you activate this molecule, and it's called anandamide. And I don't know if anyone knows what ananda means in Sanskrit. Does anyone know? Thank you, whoever said that. It means bliss. Yeah? So we've got a bliss molecule in our brain that if we activate it, we're in a state of bliss, a state of harmony. Yeah? So what's interesting though is that in the plant, they do have THC and CBD, but in the plant, and this blew me away as well, do you know that there's over 100 different cannabinoids in the cannabis plant? All they talk about is THC and CBD, but there's over 100, yeah? And then they're trying to tell us that our body only produces 2. Yeah, right. Our body probably produces many as well, but these are the only 2 that they let us know about, AEA and 2AG. However, in the cannabis plant family, there's loads. Here's some examples. You've got one called CBG. Look at the effects of CBG. Anti-cancerous, anti-inflammatory, pain relief. You've got one called CBN, pain relief, sedative, anti-inflammatory. You've got different types of THC. Did we know this? Different types of THC. And then you've got the CBD, cannabidiol, calming effects, anti-cancerous, anti-inflammatory, increases appetite. This is powerful stuff, family. And again, you guys do your research. In the cannabis plant, there are loads of cannabinoids. Loads of different cannabinoids. And they even have something called cannabinoid acids in the plant. So here's a couple examples. CBDA, that stands for cannabidiol acid, yeah? Anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer. And then you've got one called CBGA, that stands for cannabigerolic acid. So that one's cannabidiolic acid, this one's cannabigerolic acid, yeah? Very powerful stuff. If you guys do your research on this, these 2 acids will blow you away how healthy they are for us and how really good they are at healing the body. So this endocannabinoid system literally regulates all your other systems. How powerful is that? It has a positive effect on motivation, reward, thermoregulation, stress, metabolism, appetite, mood, pain, energy, sensation, inflammation, and muscle control. And you've never heard of this system? Never heard of this system, and it's the most important system in your body. Now, how does it work? The endocannabinoids is a system, but they work by utilizing what they call the cannabinoids. And the cannabinoids you can look at as keys to the locks in your body. The locks in your body are called CB1 and CB2. These are like your receptors. They receive the endocannabinoids, yeah? So you got CB1 and CB2, and then these act as the keys to the locks, and then you unlock all of this magic, yeah? So when it comes onto your receptors, they say, again, the scientific community say that the CB1 receptors are located in your brain. You now know that in your brain, there's full of neuromelanin, yeah? In every single one of us, there's 12 melanated centers. Altogether, they call that neuromelanin, yeah? And look what the CB1 receptors focus on. They target motor activity. They control your movement, thinking, motor coordination, appetite, short-term memory, pain perception, and your immune cells. And then the CB2 receptors, they say, are in your glands, organs, that sort of stuff. In other words, your melanocytes, in other words, your melanin, yeah? When it comes onto CB1 though, this is how they tiptoe around the elephant. That's in your brain. So if they're talking about the brain, they should be talking about the 12 melanin centers that are in your brain, which I break down in my debut book. I've actually got an image of where the 12 melanin centers are in your brain, and I name each one of them. And by the way, family, my book is the only science book on this planet where you can learn science and see yourself in the book. In other words, you open up a science book and you're looking at anatomy and physiology images and you see yourself. My book's the only book on the planet that does that. Just saying. Yeah? They try and confuse us with this science thing so we don't get into it, not realizing that science is simple, and when you really understand the simplicity of it, you can blow people away like this. But they want you to believe that you can't understand science, so you don't partake in this information. Yeah? But they forget we were the original scientists. We taught them. You understand? So here are the 12 neuromelanin centers of the brainstem. Chances are, again, you've never heard of any of them. However, if anyone studies science, especially neurology or neurochemistry, anything like that, chances are you may have heard of 1 and 2. Yeah? Locus coeruleus and substantia nigra. Richard King, in his book, melanin, the freedom, the key to freedom, he says that the locus coeruleus literally translates to the black dot. Some people call it the blue dot, but yeah, he says in his book, the black dot. So there's a black dot in your brain that controls literally everything. And then, look at this word, substantia nigra. What do you think that translates to? Black literally, this is like, it's the easiest way to hide the truth is to hide it in plain sight. Substantia nigra, there's a black substance in your brain and it controls all of your motor activity. In other words, the way you move is due to the substantia nigra, yeah? And again, what they won't tell you, they'll tiptoe around, is the fact that your CB1 receptors, those things that receive the cannabinoids from the plant or from your brain, those things are located heavily in your substantia nigra. And again, when you look at your substantia nigra, it's just neuromelanin, and it has to be black. It has to be highly pigmented for it to be firing those electrical impulses. So you're receiving and sending out these electrical impulses. It should be black, family. And when it's black like this, that's when everything's on point. Your rhythm's on point, your movement's on point, all of that sort of stuff, yeah? And again, if you don't believe me that your CB1 receptors are in your substantia nigra, again, just ask Google. Google will tell you that CB1 receptors are significantly expressed in the substantia nigra. Again, even if you have heard of the endocannabinoid system, I guarantee you no one's connected it to melanin. I guarantee you that. Because if you go on YouTube right now and you type in endocannabinoid system, which is a secret system, you'll see lots of people talking about it. Hundreds of people talking about it, and they are all white. Yeah? So loads of people know about this, but we don't, and this system expresses itself through melanin. Yeah? So this is how your brain looks, family. This is your substantia nigra, and it's very important to keep this highly pigmented, because when this starts to lose pigmentation, that's when you start to suffer from neurological diseases like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and all the other, like dementia and that sort of stuff, yeah? So, when it comes onto this stuff, we need to make sure that this stays black. Even this, they show the substantia nigra pigmented, but that's brown. So even this person's gonna suffer from neurological diseases and that sort of stuff. And then when it fades like this, that's Parkinson's and that sort of stuff. So for those who are not familiar with Parkinson's, that's when you're, shaking and trembling and that sort of stuff, because you're losing that ability to control your motor activity, because that's what the substantia nigra does. It controls your motor activity. So if you lose that, you start to suffer from all of these things. Now, what I find interesting is, because they try to hide the truth from black people, yeah, they tend to shoot themselves in the foot, because everyone needs to know this information. So the substantia nigra is in everyone's brain. However, Dr. Amos Wilson, who's a famous psychologist, he said in one of his books that black children, their substantia nigra is highly pigmented from the day they're born. Yeah, black children. He says the other children, their substantia nigra develops over months. And then in the later years of their life, black children or black adults, their substantia nigra degrades very slowly. Whereas in other groups, their substantia nigra degrades very fast. So every time we talk about health and that sort of stuff, especially over here, we talk about health inequalities, these experts are always telling us black people are more likely to suffer from type 2 diabetes. Black men, you're more likely to die from prostate cancer. Black women, you're more likely to die from giving birth. Yeah? Black people, you're more likely to die from COVID. You ask them why, and they're like, oh, we're not sure. We're not sure. In other words, they won't tell you the truth. So, but the truth is, if we're talking about more likely, because I always tell people that black people are more likely to is a narrative. It's not true. So the truth is that white people are more likely to suffer from Parkinson's disease. White people are more likely to suffer from Alzheimer's and dementia. And it's because of the substantia nigra degraded. So the information that I'm sharing today is not just for black people. People think I share black science. No, I share science. This is science for everyone. It's just, thank you. This is science for everyone. It's going to help everyone, this information. It just so happens, the more you delve into science, the same way the more you delve into history, like Robin Walker, the more you delve into these things, the blacker everything becomes. Yeah? So, I'm into truth. I'm into science. This is for everyone. Because what happens is they shoot themselves in the foot. They don't tell anyone about this information. They hide this system from everyone. Yeah. And then twos, their dad ends up shaking and trembling because their dad ends up getting Parkinson's disease. If we were to just share this information, make sure everyone knows the truth, then they'd be all right. Because all this person needs to understand is how to keep your substantia nigra highly pigmented. If it's highly pigmented, you're not going to start shaking and trembling. Do you understand? And how do you do that? With the sun. Surprise, surprise. The same way you'd keep your skin highly pigmented is the same way you keep your substantia nigra highly pigmented. Yeah? So, with sunlight, when it goes through your eyes are connected to your brain, so it's going to activate things in your brain like your pineal gland and your substantia nigra. That's going to start a cascade of hormones, melanin hormones to be released like melatonin and MSH. That leads to your melanin expansion. In other words, the body producing more melanin, which is called melanogenesis. Yeah? So, I'm hoping everyone's getting this. In your body, you have an endocannabinoid system. The keys are the cannabinoids, which you can get internally, anandamide and 2-AG, or externally from the plant. Yeah? So you can get it internally or externally. If you can be on a level of bliss without the plant, then that's a way of you being on a natural high. Yeah? So again, when this system is activated, it can lead to these things. Stress recovery regulation. If you're someone who deals with stress quite badly, that means your endocannabinoid system is depressed. If you're someone who can deal with stress quite well, then your endocannabinoid system is activated. Homeostatic balance, that's its main job, to bring you in a state of homeostasis, a state of bliss, a state of harmony, yeah, a state of oneness. That's its main job. Neuroprotection, so those black neurons, that neuromelanin that's in your brain, the endocannabinoid system will protect it once it's activated, which means that you won't start to, your substantia nigra won't start to diminish, and then you won't be, in your 50s shaking and trembling. We don't want that. We want our neuromelanin, our substantia nigra, to stay, jet black, yeah? Pain reduction is powerful for pain reduction. Regulation of motor activity, memory and processing, and modulation of immune and inflammatory responses. Yeah? And again, this is a system that you've never heard of. And there's one reason why you've never heard of it. Because this system, when it's activated, activates something else in you. And that something else is... I wonder. That something else is the elephant in the room. The elephant in every science room is melanin, yeah? And what happens when your endocannabinoid system is activated, it literally helps your body produce more melanin. Look at this. I got this from National Library of Medicine. Endocannabinoids stimulate human melanogenesis via type 1 cannabinoid receptors. A lot of scientific jargon. To simplify that, when your endocannabinoid system is stimulated, or when your endocannabinoid system is activated, it stimulates your body to produce more melanin. Yeah? How powerful is that? You activate your endocannabinoid system, it produces more melanin. More melanin means more endocannabinoid receptors, which means it's going to activate your it's like a feedback loop. Yeah? And remember, all of it is to make you feel good. A state of balance, a state of peace, a state of harmony. How powerful is that? What's going on? So, after hearing all of that, the most important question then to ask is, well, how do you activate the endocannabinoid system? And it's very simple. By doing what you love. When you do what you love, you put yourself in a state of bliss, a state of harmony, a state of peace, yeah? A state of balance when you're just doing what you love. That's why I call this the secret love system. Because you doing what you love activates your endocannabinoid system. Yeah? Doing what you love. And just to give you a couple examples, just anything that brings you joy. So it doesn't have to be too deep. If you love spending time with your family, with your partner, with your kids, that's going to activate your endocannabinoid system. If you're someone who loves to sing and dance, that is going to activate your endocannabinoid system. And for all of us, as due to our melanin, we need rhythm, we need music. Music, the right vibrations, is going to activate your endocannabinoid system. Yeah, so listening to the right music. Now, these are just examples that I came up with, but here's a few scientific examples. These are scientifically proven to enhance your endocannabinoid system. So, social interaction. Social interaction will activate your endocannabinoid system, right? So, what we're doing here, guess what we're doing here? We are activating our endocannabinoid system by just being here, family, yeah? Unstructured playtime, yeah? Think about this with your children. If you're very structured with your children, don't move, sit down. Well, we're all kids, but I'm saying just if you're doing this with your kids, don't move, sit down, don't play, yeah? Structure and everything. And then the sis said, we're big kids, yeah, we're big kids, but now we gotta go to work. Structured. Oh, I gotta wake up at a certain time. Oh, it's all structured. I gotta run, catch the train. It's all structured. That's depressing your endocannabinoid system, yeah? So now, when you're realizing what activates it, you're simultaneously realizing what deactivates it. So social interaction is what activates it. So, for example, hypothetically speaking, if there was a time where we was on lockdown and we couldn't see our friends and family, yeah, that would deactivate your endocannabinoid system, yeah? Meditation activates your endocannabinoid system. Yoga, singing and dancing. Check this out, family. Studies have shown that singing and dancing enhances your endocannabinoid system by 40%. You wonder why black people are always singing and dancing? Yeah? 40%. Yeah? Breathing exercises, deep breathing exercising. Deep breathing through your nose, through your mouth, all that sort of stuff. Breathing out through your mouth. If you're doing that, you activate your endocannabinoid system. So, for example, just hypothetically speaking, if you was wearing a mask and you couldn't breathe deeply, you'll be deactivating your endocannabinoid system. I'm hoping everyone's starting to put 2 and 2 together here, yeah? All right. Tai Chi activates your endocannabinoid system. Acupuncture. Massage. Look at this. Massage enhances your endocannabinoid system by 167%. Yeah? And let's not get it twisted. Massage, going to a massage therapist would help. But even your partner massaging you. You understand? Yeah? Physical touch. Look how powerful physical touch is. Yeah? Smiling and hugging. Yeah? Smiling and hugging. I saw loads of people smiling and hugging. We're activating our endocannabinoid system. Sun gazing. Being out in the sun just naturally activates this love system. Yeah? And any voluntary enjoyable exercise. Any of these is going to activate it, yeah? So let me show you an example. Look at this sis just activating her endocannabinoid system. Check this out. Look. Just doing what she loves. Outside in the sun. Doing what she loves. Endocannabinoid system activated. Look. Confidence. Sunshine. Expressing herself. Love. And she's out there with her friends as well. So there's the social interactions. She's just enjoying life. Vibes. Do you know what I'm saying? This is what activates your endocannabinoid system. Yeah? And then she goes and hugs her friends as well. So smiling and hugging, all of these things are going to activate your endocannabinoid. And look how simple this is. You can stay healthy by just doing what you love. You literally can stay healthy by doing what you love. And then hugging people. Yeah? So look at this. It's so simple. But again, they don't teach us this thing, so we don't realize how powerful this is. And by the way, family, it doesn't even have to be this deep. You don't have to do anything. Yeah? Can you not just be love? Why do you have to do love? Can you not just be love? Yeah? If you're in a state of being, if you can put yourself in a state of bliss just from being, you're going to activate your endocannabinoid system. And I don't know if anyone saw this clip, but Trevor Noah talked about the importance of just being. Listen.
And just be. Not do a thing, be. Like just be. And I find, and I'll be careful in saying this, but I have found that the degree of comfort in just being is different depending on where you're from in the world. So like my friends who are from third world countries, developing nations, whether it's South Africa and we're in the township, or whether it's my friends from Trinidad, or it's like in Trinidad, they even have a word for it, liming, they say, let's lime. And liming means spending time together with no purpose whatsoever. That's literally what my Trini friends said. They're like, yo, we're going to lime on Saturday. That means we're doing nothing. It doesn't mean we're going to go see a game. It doesn't mean we're going to watch a movie. We're going to lime. It means your friend is going to come. They're going to sit on the couch and you're just going to be. You'll talk and then you won't talk, and then you laugh and then you won't laugh.
You see it there? And by the way, this is a very Caribbean culture he's talking about. Anyone from the Caribbean? Raise your hands if you're from the Caribbean. Large up, large up. Anyone from Trinidad? Trinidad and Tobago, Trinidad. Large up, large up, large up. So you guys from Trinidad, you know this liming thing. You've been running with it for donkeys, yeah? You've been talking about liming, just being easy and that sort of stuff. But you know how we are in this system. Trevor Noah comes out with this, it goes viral, and then tutus, what do the people do? The people start saying it's a new term. So look at this. All the newspapers ran with this. Trevor Noah drops a new term for our vocabulary. Are you ready to embrace the art of liming? In other words, they've now found a new word to appropriate. Do you understand? Yeah? But the thing is, this is powerful. And again, if you're from the Caribbean, you understand this. You understand liming. But anyone from Jamaica? Larger, Jamaica. Yeah. In Jamaica, don't we have a similar thing? What word do we use, or what term do we use to feel good, just to feel blessed, just to feel feeling irie? You understand? Feeling irie, and we have to salute the Rastas for that. Do you understand? Because they brought us this term. And not to get too deep, we've been talking about this very powerful system, but who were the first people to bring our attention to this? Wasn't it them? Yeah? So again, we have to salute the Rastas, because it's like they're bringing us this knowledge, this secret science without even letting us know. Yeah? So Bob Marley, he always used to talk about this plant, this herb. Listen to what he says with regards to its healing properties.
How does your music and the use of the juke the times with your religious beliefs?
Well, herb is not really a tie, but herb is the next herb that people use, Just like how people use tomatoes, and use parsley, and use herbs as the herb. Well, this herb is for the healing of the nation.
This herb is for the healing of the nation. And do you know that Africans have been using cannabis for healing for centuries? Going all the way back to ancient Kemet. Does anyone know who this goddess is? Her name is Seshat or Sheshat. And look, goddess of knowledge and cannabis. Goddess of knowledge, look, was an ancient Egyptian goddess of mathematics created for knowledge, books, writing. Yeah? So we've been doing this from the start. This is ancient Kemet, family. It's only now that you're starting to realize, this stuff is in us. It's not just the plant, this stuff is actually in us as well. Yeah? And check this out. Knowing this stuff is very powerful. Look, cannabis compounds. A study found that cannabinoids block coronavirus from entering human cells. So you're trying to tell me that we didn't have to go for a pandemic? You're trying to tell me if we just gave everyone cannabis, everyone would have been fine. Everyone would have been feeling irie. Everyone would have just been liming if they just gave us the plant. Do you understand? This is how powerful this information is. You understand? Look, it says new research suggests that hemp compounds, cannabigerolic acid, CBGA, and CBDA bind to the SARS-CoV-2 spike protein and block it from entering human cells. We didn't even have to go through a pandemic, but these people love to hide this stuff from us, shoot themselves in the foot. Do you understand? Because there's more white people that die from COVID than black people. Don't get it twisted. So they shoot themselves in the foot just because they don't want us to know this truth. Yeah? Now, why would they not allow us to partake in this plant?
Herb is important, but herb is more important to the people who don't accept it yet, because that is the reality. I mean, it's not so well then, it's something that you crave, but you check it in a sense and say, herb is a plant. I mean, herbs are good for everything.
Everything.
Why these people who want to do so much good for everyone, who call themselves governments and this and that, why them say you must not use the herb?
I wonder. And check this out. Even though studies have shown that white people use more cannabis than black people, guess what? Black people 12 times more likely to be prosecuted for cannabis, yeah? And just to show you, for those of you who want to find a study where I found that white people use it more than black people, here's the source. Ministry of Justice, Home Office, Office for National Statistics. This is stop and search. So they stop and search everyone, and they found more white people with cannabis possession than black people. However, black people get more prosecuted more, yeah? And check this out. This is from the same, this is from International Narcotics Control Board. They tried to outlaw the cannabis plant over here. You can only have it medicinally through the NHS. They try and outlaw it here, yeah? But guess what country produces the most cannabis? The UK. So what's going on? Who's utilizing these cannabinoids? My gosh, yeah? And again, when you activate this system, it does all of this. And I'm just finishing up now, so I gotta go through this because I gotta jump off. The Black History Man, Robin Walker's coming on right now, so I don't wanna take up too much time. I'm just gonna show you a couple of food enhancing endocannabinoids, or these are things that enhance your endocannabinoid system. Omega-3 is very powerful way of enhancing your endocannabinoid system. Omega-3 acts as the precursors to your endocannabinoids. Now, everyone needs omega-3 and omega-6, but omega-6 is pro-inflammatory, omega-3 is anti-inflammatory. So you need omega-3 to activate your endocannabinoid system. And I have a very powerful omega-3 oil over on my desk over there, where it says Enzino. Very powerful balance oil to bring you back into balance with regards to your omega-3 and omega-6, yeah? Mango has been shown to enhance the effect of cannabinoids. And echinacea, all of these calming aromatherapy like echinacea, lavender, all that sort of stuff. Chocolate, dark chocolate there's been studies showing that it has a chemical in there that releases that anandamide, yeah? Anandamide. And again, anandamide is like bliss, because if you looked it up on Google, it will say that ananda means bliss or harmony, yeah? Bliss or harmony. All right, just to finish up, family, because I'm running out of time, let me just tell you guys that it's so important to keep this system activated. And you can keep it activated, again, internally or externally using cannabinoids. So with CBD, which is a very powerful cannabinoid, if you can get a CBD oil and it has some of the others or all of the others, they call that full spectrum. Full spectrum. And by the way, family, I have a full spectrum CBD oil over on that desk. I don't have a lot though, and some have gone already. So if you're interested, you gotta let me know. I've actually got two different types. I've got just the CBD hemp one. Leash is going to buy it already. Literally, they're gonna go before I come off, trust me. But CBD oil, I've got the CBD oil, which is great for calming the nerves, great for anxiety, all that sort of stuff. But I've got the one that's got THC in it as well. Now some people, they're scared of that thing. It's not to get you high, family. It's for the healing of the nation, do you understand? It's not to get you high. But I've only got 2 bottles of that one, yeah, and that one's more expensive. But again, when you guys, when I finish, you guys can go get your CBD oil, yeah? When I finish, which I'm doing right now. So I'm gonna finish right now. But family, it's so important for us to live our lives and live in truth and make sure that you're doing what you love. Because you now know the power of doing what you love activates your endocannabinoid system. So what you don't want is to be going to a job that you hate. That's going to deactivate your endocannabinoid system. Being stressed out every day, that's going to deactivate your endocannabinoid system. And if you want an example of that, check this out.
Guys, I can't do this anymore. You need to think of some business ideas. We can't be in the trenches anymore. I can't be getting up for work like this. I am tired. I am tired. I am sick and tired. Listen, are we opening up a bar? Are we making candles? Are we opening up a flower shop? What are we doing? Are we going to OnlyFans? Is that where this leads?
Do what you love.
Where this leads? My ass on an absolute, huh? Okay? I can't, look, it's dark. It's dark. And I come back, and it's dark. I can't do this anymore. I really and truly can't do this anymore. I have to rush my breakfast, my cup of tea, just to go work for the man.
Listen, family.
I can't do this anymore. I need to live life.
Live life. Live life. Do what you love and live life. You understand? Fall back in love with yourself. Fall back in love with your melanin. My name is Leo Marshall, and that concludes the end of my presentation. Thank you.